So, when I saw the new currencies, I was kind of wrong, but also kind of right. I was right that the new currencies were a form of deterministic crafting, or at the very least, right insofar as they function as free metamods. But I was wrong in how they functioned, because I wasn't expecting the new influences to work in the way they do. I remember saying, well, why would you ever want to annul a specific influence? The answer is because you don't. You want to annul a different mod on that influenced item. So today, I'm going to talk about the Eldritch influences, not to be confused with Elder influence, and give some of my thoughts, both as a veteran crafter and about what I think this means for the average player. So, to start off with, there's two new influence types. These are based on the Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch. They take the form of implicit mods rather than explicit mods. And, because they're implicits, they're mutually exclusive with most other forms of endgame crafting. These can be applied using a Lesser Eldritch Ember, or Lesser Eldritch Ichor, Greater Eldritch Ember, or Greater Eldritch Ichor, Grand Eldritch Ember, or Grand Eldritch Ichor, or Exceptional Eldritch Ember and Exceptional Eldritch Ichor. You can't use these on influenced items, and they'll replace any existing implicit modifiers on the item. So they're also completely incompatible with things like ritual bases. There seems to be an effort here to give people an option for powerful crafting, while also increasing the value of items you drop off the floor. You can easily apply one of these embers or ichors to any item you pick up off the ground that happen to be a pretty good rare, and make it a little bit better. Because they're going to be more common, I'm guessing about like what we saw with most of the tainted currencies during Scourge League, I don't think we're going to run into the same problem as we did with Conqueror Exalts, where you say, yeah, I could slam this ring, but also it's an X, and I don't really want to do that. You'll say, oh yeah, I'm totally going to slam it with an Ember. If it gets better, cool. And if it doesn't, there's going to be more. I'm sure not everyone's going to be so laissez-faire, especially if you're playing in solo self-found or not juicing your content a lot. The first few you're going to have to use a little bit more carefully, but for most people, I don't think this is going to be a big weighty decision. I think it's going to be something that you'll be able to confidently do most of the time. So when should you use these items as opposed to an influenced item, or as opposed to double corrupting something? Without seeing the full mod pool, I'm not entirely sure. But so far, from what I can see, these are good for mid-game items. It doesn't really seem like these are set up to be so rare that you're going to mirror it. Now, I could be wrong, certain things could have a weighting of 50, and certain things could have a weighting of 5,000. But the way it's looking right now is these are going to be good items. They're going to be upgrades that might cost 2, 3, or 4 exalts in terms of total crafting time. But they're not going to be impossible. You're not going to feel like I can't achieve this. You're going to say, okay, here are the steps, and here's how I go about it. The same kind of incremental crafting process that people enjoyed from Harvest, without it being so overpowered that it completely breaks every aspect of the game. And if you're finding this discussion of the new Eldritch implicit modifiers to be helpful, be sure to leave a like on the video, and sub to the channel for more information on Siege of the Atlas and Arch Nemesis League. If you want to talk builds, discuss mechanics, or just hang out with the community, be sure to join my Discord. Link will be down in the description below. But there are a few more currencies to talk about. First of all, the Orb of Conflict. This raises the strength of one implicit on the item, and lowers the strength of another. And it specifically says that lesser modifiers that have their strength lowered will be removed. Which means if you get the thing that you want, and you lose the coin flip 4 times, it is gone, and you will have to spam to get it back. The Orb of Conflict seems like a lower stakes, less destructive version of a Maven's Orb, where you're going to get incredible power. It's not nearly as consistent as the Maven's Orb, but you're also not risking very much, instead of permanently removing a mod from the item. Worst case, you can always put it back on, and unless you get very unlucky, you're never going to actually remove the mod. And then finally, we have the Eldritch Chaos Orb, the Eldritch Exalted Orb, and the Eldritch Orb of Annulment. These are the currencies that were first previewed, that first piqued my interest. If the Eater of Worlds is dominant, they affect the suffix modifiers. In other words, the item effectively has prefixes cannot be changed. If a Searing Exarch is dominant, they affect the prefix modifiers. In other words, the item has suffixes cannot be changed. This is particularly interesting to me because metacrafting is often the difference between the sort of crafting that I do and the sort of crafting that the everyday player does. It's often why I'm able to make items as powerful as I can. And now, in a sense, everyone's getting access to it. I'm not going to assume that the Chaos Orb, or the Exalted Orb, or the Annulment Orb will be cheap. In fact, price-wise, they're probably going to be a Tainted Chaos, a Tainted Exalt, or the Tainted Mythic Orb. But that still should be a lot cheaper than 2x, so people are getting a lot more accessibility when it comes to metacrafting. However, the trade-off is, the item can't be double influenced. It also can't be corrupted, because you can't modify corrupted items except for sockets. So this isn't without downsides, but the downsides feel fair, and I do think this is going to let a lot of people learn about crafting, while also making powerful and useful items. These modifiers are more deterministic. They're harder to remove and fairly persistent. You can add them to a good item, so it has 8 total mods. Well, won't they just be crap? No, they won't be crap. In fact, it looks like most of them are on par with their influence equivalents, if not in some cases a little bit better. These crafting currencies add something that Path of Exile has been missing for a very long time: mid-game items. Most of the time, they're not going to be used to make the best of the best, and most of the time, they're not going to be used to make your League Star items. They're going to be for the in-between point, for when you're scaling from all of my items are 20 to 30C to all of my items are 1 to 2x. And if you use Orb of Conflict, they can go significantly beyond that. So, my question to you is this: what do you plan to use this new crafting for? And will this tempt you to use items that aren't influenced or corrupted? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. And again, a special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. If you want to support me, you can do so by clicking the links down in the description below or on screen right now. You can also support by making purchases through my Nexus page. Or if you just want to chill and hang out, be sure to join the Discord. Again, links for everything are down in the description below. Thank you, and have a great day.